What's up, Westfield?
We're here to talk about ways you can integrate technology into your day-to-day to help you be techie as heck.
I'm Kristen Morris.
And I'm Samantha Wilsker.
And this is your TechRocks podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 4.5 2.0, Pressure is a Privilege. We will actually talk about it today.
We will. I'm so excited. It is early. I feel like I was really ready to show up today. I've got my caffeine.
Ready to be on task.
I do. I think the first thing I was really excited to tell Kristen today was I just really love Diet Coke. And I never did before. This is brand new for me. I'm on the journey.
And she's also acting like this morning would have been the first time she's telling me about Diet Coke, but I listened to it yesterday and the day before.
She did.
And last week.
But it's different because it's morning.
Yeah, and you're right, because it's been at lunchtime when I'm enjoying a regular Coke because I need all the sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love all the sugar too, but there's just something about it. And I feel like teachers can understand what I'm saying. It's always been a teacher thing, I feel like.
Now, you talk about it so much, I kind of wish there was a song about it.
I do. I think there's a tool for that.
There is.
Yeah, what's it called?
SunoAi.
Just kidding. We already did this. Do you guys want to hear our song?
They do.
Okay.
Here we go, guys.
It's the fizz that lifts my soul. Tiny bubbles make me whole. Every can a sparkling dream. In the dark, it makes me gleam. Hooked on Diet Coke all day. Keeps my worries far away. Silver cans I treasure most. With each sip, I raise a toast.
Excellent.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's more. That is a 3-minute song, but
It'll be overkill.
Yeah, we thought maybe you wouldn't want to listen for 3 minutes, but we did want to bring up really quick before we really do stay on task. SunoAi is such an amazing tool. I mean, from silly videos about Diet Coke, because Samantha won't stop talking about it, to our colleague Shelly has been highlighting this in some of her professional development that she's been rolling out at the high school. You can use it in any of your classes. Kids can help you, put in the parameters to make these songs. You can make it about anything. You can make it any kind of like genre, I guess.
Yes, you can.
So what did you use when you popped that in?
I just said make an acoustic song about being hooked on Diet Coke.
And they gave it that twang.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Of goodness.
So I also want to be very clear that this is how we kicked off our morning as we were setting up our podcasting equipment. And Samantha literally let a tear drop.
It was so sweet.
It really meant a lot to her.
It did. It was the key. I just was not expecting such an emotional take on.
We wish we could have got that
Coke.
raw footage for you all, but we did quit. We haven't listened to the whole song yet.
We haven't. We'll do that later.
Yeah, maybe we could link this song
into the description.
Yeah, we're going to put it in the description and you guys will be able to check it out.
I do hope if you are listening and you decide to use this as a tool in your classroom, send that over to us. Give us those examples because it's always nice to kind of show teachers how other teachers are utilizing that. So I think also there's got to be some surprise little nuggets like this one gave me an emotional reaction.
Absolutely. And to be clear, you're going to put in your parameters sometimes and it's going to be like, that
wild.
Was awful. And you're going to have that. So keep trying. Change the words you're using, the keywords you're using. Samantha was just lucky enough to get this.
I was. I do think, too, the more you use it, I was telling Kristen there's a show on Netflix that I'm watching right now, and I am fully convinced that they use this or something like it to do all of the music of the show. If you're a caption watcher like I am, and you read some of the lyrics of the songs, it's just a little bit wild. Like, I don't think anybody would really do that. So it is kind of fun once you start utilizing really anything AI, how you can kind of point it out.
You sure can. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I got really good at reading AI, because I was in it all the time, just trying to figure out how it works. And I'd be able to be like, oh, that person just wrote me an entire email using artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So also just quit. We're really going to get on task. But words like unwavering, just take them out. That is an AI term. Don't use it. Unwavering when you're making your social media posts. No one is unwavering.
No.
All the time.
No, I have.
I waver. I teeter-totter.
I do. I like to go, no, make it sound more casual.
Yes. Yeah.
And
okay.
It does, yeah.
Love that. All right. Well, we're going to get back on task here.
We are here to talk about pressure is a privilege.
It is a privilege. And you know what? Performing under pressure really defines us, right? Some people are born under pressure.
That's true. It's what makes you.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! All right. So here it is for us today. So we are here to talk about how pressure can be a motivator, right? How can it push us to be our best?
Well, honestly, so the first thing that pops into my mind is one time I was talking to a principal of mine when I worked in Pike, and I remember just having a casual conversation in the hallway, and he was trying to gauge how well I would react to a move from first grade. And I think he was trying to feel out the conversation because, you know, principals have these big decisions. They've got to fill different spots, or sometimes they just need to shake up teams of people. And really, you know, he was kind of just asking these questions to see where I was and how I was thinking. And I remember my response was like, oh my gosh, don't move me out of first grade. I love it there. I'm so comfortable teaching first grade. And he says to me, and he turns and he says, so doesn't that mean it's time to move on?
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, tell me more, I think. and so, you know, he just kind of went forward with the idea that he believes, you know, getting comfortable means that it's time to move on, because when we get comfortable, we're generally not pushing ourselves to do more, right? We like that sense of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
We like that space that we're living in the moment, but it's not pushing us to do anymore. And I was pretty young still. I mean, I was in my like mid to late 20s. And I was going to teach first grade for the rest of my career.
Forever and ever.
And I mean, it sounded great because I love first grade, but it really got my wheels turning. And I think that's, you know, another reason why I am where I'm at, because I always hear that voice in the back of my head. Are you comfortable? Because if you are, you got to get out.
I like that. I think that kind of puts light on too when those moments happen, right? Because I think a lot of people can connect with the fact of maybe a boss is coming to you because a move is imminent, or things are happening, or something's going to change. But your perception of that, like you took that as an opportunity. And I think, look at you now.
Yeah.
Like, look at you.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that a little bit. Like, I like moving. I remember when I just had to, I was still in first grade, but I was just moving classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't acquired too much stuff, but a lot of stuff. And I just remember hearing somebody say, like, it would just be a good idea for people to just move every 5 years, even if it was less than that, because you're really purging things too. So there can sort of be that like extra bonus on. And I moved many positions since then. And it's kind of like you go through everything and you're kind of taking a fresh inventory, not just on what you're doing in your own life or how you're impacting those around you, but also like an actual inventory of your space and keeping it decluttered. I think that's powerful too.
Well, and it goes back to the pressure of that move, or that anxiety over the move is actually motivating you to go declutter, to go clean that space up.
So you know what you have, so you can be prepared for this new journey and know what you need.
And you got there because somebody applied a little bit of pressure there. Like you have the pressure to be, I mean, you've got to be on time. Like it's not like you're moving into a house where you got a couple boxes in the corner. No. These kids come on August 7th and it's game time and there's ready. No space.
No, none. You do a lot with coaching. So how does this apply in that world?
Oh my gosh. So like sports coaching, right?
Yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. Yes.
So I love it. I had the best conversation with a group of 10 and 11-year-olds. So I coach 5th grade basketball right now, which I'm a soccer player, and I'm also a basketball player, right? We won't go back to that episode of labels. I was a basketball player, but I took this role because no one else really wanted to coach at the moment. And I wanted my kid to be able to jump in and be able to play. And this league was really great. So it's awesome because I have almost every parent is like somehow a coach. It's like one-on-one coaching sometimes. But the girls were like, they stopped because we were having a really scrappy practice. It was just 3v3. They were running a lot because we were doing competitive, like however many buckets you got. If you were the leading scorer for different shooting competitions, you didn't have to run. And then we came together and everybody got points if your team won, because then we brought it back to your team. But they were 3v3. So there was 3 scrapping against another 3. And one of the girls, like during our break, she was like, we're supposed to be building our team mentality together. And I just don't see how we can do that at practice when we're against each other. And I had this moment and I was like, this is excellent, because you guys are in this turning point where you need to learn that if you want to get better and go to that next space, how does that look in practice? And I think about Kobe and all those people. We prepare to be great, and then we just are great, right? Because we've prepared. We're not nervous. We're not backing away from being scrappy, from going at it, throwing a few elbows, getting in there, because we do it to each other in practice.
Right.
So they're in this great learning space, because sometimes players go at it in training and they're really hard on each other and they put a lot of pressure on each other. And then after practice, they're like, yeah, let's go get lunch, Some people cannot do that. They can't turn off that practice, or they're mad at their teammate because of a hard practice. And so it was a great moment to be with those kids and be like, oh my gosh, I get to be part of this journey, right? Where pressure is a good thing. It's a motivator, but also you walk off the court and go have lunch, go play.
I would think too, in a situation like that, and I can kind of like do a parallel to work. Did you find that sometimes it would almost be like they would just champion each other differently? Because now you see this complete other side. It's like this more competitive version of somebody, and it's just like, dang, like look what they've got. And it's impressive. It's cool to see the people that you can joke around with and talk with every day, but really then all of a sudden to see them elevate and perform, it's just
in the zone.
Yeah.
And again, putting that pressure. And so as a coach, I love this aspect. I know I keep going into the coaching roles a lot on these, but sometimes one of the hardest things as a coach is getting that authentic pressure. And it was just perfect because the girls just dove in last night and they were all for it. I remember distinctly one of the kids started bleeding because she got scratched on the nose when they were going up for rebounds, because all the coaches were like, we don't rebound enough, get in there, rebound, you got to get in there, you got to throw some arms, you got to throw your body in there. And this kid gets scratched, and in the moment she was so mad, but like 6 minutes later they're getting water, and the girl on the other team, which is her teammate, she looks at her and she's like, I think I can smell the blood coming out of my nose. And it was just like, yes. So be mad in the moment. What's that look like? Because you need to take that into the game. But now you're having a water break with one of your actual teammates, and now we're joking around like whether you or not, they can smell blood.
I love that.
And well, I do like that. And then one more with coaching.
Yes, good.
And just a prime example from 2 of our Westfield students that I coached here. I just loved because they would purposely try to get on opposite teams and then match up against each other, and they would just drive each other. And there were 2 of our like top performing kids, just really, they knew how to get in that zone and to apply that pressure on each other, to motivate, to get better. And then they were like the best of friends.
I'm so glad you shared that, because I feel like that segues kind of into the next area of leadership. Leadership and pressure. Like in that example, you've got 2 teammates that are basically sort of those leaders and modeling what other teammates can do. Because I don't know about you, when I think of leadership, what I don't think of is somebody in charge.
Correct.
When I think of leadership, my favorite, Simon Sinek, leaders inspire others to lead. And to your story, that's exactly what was happening. But I think in school organizations, or even in business, even in families, that opportunity for that leadership or that pressure, but how it just elevates other people around you to sort of do that same thing, can be pretty profound.
I believe that is 100% true. And then leading back to something you said too, those 2 examples from Westfield were also captains. So just like a great role to be in. And I just think it's hard as a young athlete to, I don't know if compartmentalize is the right word, but like to be like, this is practice time, and then to walk off and leave it all behind and move on. And I think those are great skills, because even in here, like you and I, even like we don't always agree on the same thing, and we'll go like, head to head on something, and then we're making Suno songs about Diet Coke. Right. So you have to be able to perform in that space and not take it personally.
100%. Well, I think there are so many opportunities, especially in education, for things like that to happen, right? And I think you do. I do not mind the word compartmentalize, because I think it's not about feelings in that moment. For educators, sometimes it's about what's best for students. And that's really the lane that we need to operate in, because that can drive a lot of our decision making, versus maybe leaning more towards how we feel about something. What's best for students is usually a clean direction to go in.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the downside of pressure. So do you feel like sometimes too much pressure could lead to burnout?
burnout, or I'm also thinking of mental health issues, things like that. It's a balance with everything else we talk about. It's a balance because too much pressure can take away. I mean, we were just chatting, last week, maybe the week before, I forget what episode number, about making space. And I think having the pressures of jobs or pressures of even relationships, they can get in the way of the things that really matter.
Yep.
But we need the pressure.
We do.
It's almost like stress, right?
Yeah.
Stress is actually really healthy.
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing about the pressure. And I think they go hand in hand, right? A lot of times pressure is stress.
I have a tendency, I think, to sort of take inventory, right? I'll be like, okay, home life is right. Work life is right. Everything feels great. Oh, but I'm not working out enough. Like there's always this squeaky wheel. But I feel like if I take that inventory and I'm like, but most things are pretty great. And that's okay. And I'm okay with that. I know I don't know, maybe it was our first episode, we talked too about just like reframing how we see things. Like when we have to make a mistake, like, well, I guess I got extra practice doing that.
Extra practice.
I think that ties to this nicely because it's all about the reframe. So sometimes when things seem extra stressful, so maybe work has been a lot and maybe home has been a lot, and it's very easy to get stuck on doom scrolling.
Oh, doom scrolling.
Yeah, or just like feeling like, woe is me, right? But what I really love about the idea of pressure is a privilege. When you really peel back the layers and you look at where you are and you're like, well, I'm in my home and I have a great home and I've got a great family. And even though things seem super stressful right now, what a privilege it is to be in so many positions to have that level of pressure and have to do something with it. Like, that's not everybody's experience all the time. And just having the gratitude just in our day to day, I think is something that's really easy to overlook. But practicing that active gratitude of understanding what a privilege it is to be in these positions is really important to help alleviate maybe the more negative sides of pressure.
I think you're right on the money there. And even relating it into sports, if you're having that pressure, it means you are performing at a level in which pressure is a necessity, right? It is something that is going to come with it. It's something that you're going to experience, and how you handle it. And the coolest thing about sports, and for many of the kids that I work with, is that it might be in the now. They're in the sports now, but they get to take that into their next piece.
Yep.
Very few, if any, are going to be taking it into the professional world where they're in actual sports, right? I hope. For those of the kids that I've coached, I hope that's where they get. But for many of them, it's just those lessons that they get to learn and they get to take into their occupations, and they get to take into college. I mean, how much pressure is college? How much pressure is high school, SATs, ACTs,
social pressures. Yeah.
And so just being able to take what you learn under these situations and apply in other places is just really important.
I think, as you're thinking of the sports aspect of it, and then for those that don't know, I'm not like a super sports person. I appreciate it. I like to watch it, but I joke with people about sports ball. Like, woo. But I think too, I would imagine that athletes have to walk into that too. Like, there are two outcomes of what you're walking into, right? You're winning or you're not. And I think outside of that sector, when you're not doing sports, there's typically just a couple outcomes, right? You either get what you're pushing for or you don't. But seeing that alternate option, right? The less ideal option is, but I'm going to learn something from that as I move forward. And I think that is really what sets us up for that success, is there's still something to be had from maybe the option that we weren't hoping for. And if we can't continuously practice pulling out those life lessons from those less desirable situations, that can make it tough. So making sure we're super intentional about always looking for the lesson we can apply.
Well, I think that's huge. And that's what I talk to a lot of athletes about too, is just I'm at this stage where I'm not worried about the wins and the losses as long as we are applying what we've been training for, because I do think that winning is something that comes from the work that is put in.
Yep.
I don't think it's the goal that we should be having. The goal should be the work, the process. How did we get here? And the wins will come. And I think what's cool about sports is that you lose a game, but next weekend you're going to go play another one, right? So it's like you just let it roll. At some point, it's going to roll off your shoulders and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we apply that to what we're doing, right? Why in my job, if I went for a certain role or I went for a certain, I don't know, I'm trying to achieve something within my job.
Yeah.
Why don't I have that mentality that like, okay, I lost or it didn't work out, taking away my learns. What did I learn? What are the lessons, right? And then applying it again. Why don't I get that chance again? Go get that chance again.
I think that is a really great idea. And I think for me, like I can speak to that like firsthand. Like there have been some positions that didn't come my way. And I remember myself back in that zone. Like there was, of course, the immediate feeling of like, this just feels a little unjust. Where I sit today and the experiences that I'm lucky enough to have today, I fully trust that like that was just the universe doing its thing. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I have the opportunities to work with things that I still love to work with that maybe if I would have gotten that other role, maybe I wouldn't have that. And so I think that has sort of helped solidify my confidence in if it doesn't work out, it's going to be fine. Like something's going to be on the other end for me. And I just have to trust that it's not always maybe my plan. But sometimes it works out even better than we would have planned for ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, I was actually just in a gym about an hour and a half ago. And I applied to be a gym teacher in 2 different schools here in the district.
Yeah, yep.
And I felt like I was runner-up each time. Great try. What did I learn? And those are the thoughts I had. I mean, I was even just sitting there and I was just thinking, what a masterful art that the person who did get the job is doing here. And what a wonderful place for that person to be.
Yep.
And I'm so thankful. Sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayer.
I love it. We, at some point, when we get however many episodes in, we need to clip out all of our sing songs.
I just wish I had a good singing voice.
I do. Well, you know what? It's all about the perspective.
I have a great voice.
It brings me so much joy. I think one thing to kind of wrap it up is I think there's also power in who you surround yourself with. So whether you're on a team doing a sports ball thing,
sports ball,
or you're at work, I think, or even at home, taking that inventory to make sure you are surrounding yourself with the people who are going to elevate you, who are going to rally around you when you are under pressure to support that outcome. I've been lucky enough to be on a number of teams where they knew I was going for other things. And even though we were all sad because it was going to break up our team, they were still like such champions and they were so supportive. And it's like, I don't feel like I can get where I want to go alone. And so I think it's super important. And Kristen, as you're sitting here across from me, I mean, for me, like you're one of those people, like we said, and was it 4.5? 1.0?
I think so.
Like we do. We share these inspirational reels back and forth. And I just think everybody needs a Kristen. Like you need to have that person who can help bring it back because, sometimes I might be having a bad day and here's this reel that I'm like, oh my, it's so profound. We have to talk about it.
We're going to bring it to the next episode.
Yeah.
And just to throw it in there, I feel the exact same way about Samantha. And I think that is super important to have because you cannot get anywhere that you want to be alone. I mean, you can get close maybe, but you got to bring those people that are going to push you on the days that are hard, that have too much pressure.
Yep.
You got to bear that burden with somebody or multiple somebodies.
100% hashtag together is better.
Together is better.
Simon Sinek. Well, this was one of my favorite episodes.
Absolutely. I mean, we're taking our skills we've learned.
Yep.
We're taking those reels that we sit on each night.
That's right.
Just pulling it all together.
All right. Well, hopefully everybody stays cool under pressure.
Stay cool under pressure. And remember, stay techie as heck.